All right, get ready because we're diving deep today into the world of online courses. We're going to be talking about how to take your knowledge and turn it into an awesome course and then share it with everyone using a platform called Teachable. So yeah, think of this as like a crash course in becoming an online entrepreneur or, at least figuring out if it's something you want to do.
Yeah, and you know what's really cool about this whole online course world is that it opens up education to everyone.
Mhm.
It lets anyone who knows a lot about something become a teacher, and they can reach students all over the world. And we're not just talking about sharing facts here. It's more about, helping people change and grow and reach their full potential.
I love that idea, helping people change and grow. And that's where Teachable comes in, right? It's not just like a site to put your videos. It's like the whole system for your online course business.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Teachable is kind of like your team working behind the scenes. They take care of things like hosting your course and handling payments and, managing all the students. So you can focus on what you're best at, creating amazing content that really makes a difference. And they make it really easy to use, no matter if you're like a tech expert or you're just starting out.
Okay, so Teachable's got the technical stuff. Skills we're selling.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Your expertise is what's valuable. Think about it this way. What do you know or what can you do that other people would want to learn and would pay for? What problems can you help them solve? What kind of change can you guide them through? Teachable has this guide called 1,000 Ways to Hustle. And they really emphasize that your course should give people actual skills they can use, not just, information they forget.
So it's not just about dumping a bunch of facts on them. It's about teaching them how to actually do something with what they learn. I'm already thinking about some ideas for courses, but how do you even find people who want to take your course? It's not like I have a stadium full of students waiting for me.
Well, that's where targeted marketing comes in.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you got to do is figure out who your ideal student is. Who are you trying to reach with your course? What are their problems? What do they want to achieve? Once you have a clear picture of who they are, you can create content and market your course in a way that speaks directly to them.
So it's like finding your niche, your tribe in this big online world.
Exactly. The 1,000 Ways to Hustle guide talks a lot about the power of niche marketing. So instead of trying to appeal to everyone, you focus on a specific group of people who have a shared need or interest. For example, instead of having a general course on digital marketing, you might create one on Instagram marketing for Etsy sellers. That way you're attracting a very specific group of people.
Right, so you're not just shouting into the void. You're talking directly to the people who are most likely to want what you have to offer. That makes a lot of sense. But how do you actually get in touch with those people?
There are a few different ways to build an audience online. Content marketing is a big one. So that's creating valuable content like blog posts and social media content. You can even offer free resources like checklists or mini courses. Those are sometimes called lead magnets. And you offer them in exchange for people's email addresses. Building an email list is really important. It's like having a group of people who are really interested in what you have to teach.
Okay, so you create good content, build an email list, but at some point you have to talk about sales, right? How do you actually convince people to buy your course?
Well, you need a solid plan for marketing and selling your course. And Teachable gives you the tools to do that too. It's kind of like a funnel. At the top of the funnel, you're raising awareness. People are discovering your brand through your content. Then you provide them with valuable content and build trust. And finally, you guide them towards making a purchase.
I like the funnel analogy. That's helpful. So what are the most important parts of a good sales strategy for an online course?
It all starts with a really good sales page. Think of it like the online storefront for your course. It needs to clearly explain the problem your course solves and how it will transform your students' lives. It should also highlight all the benefits they'll get from learning from you. And having testimonials from past students can be really convincing too.
It's all about building trust and credibility, right? I'm getting really excited about all this. But let's talk about actually creating the course on Teachable. Where do you even start?
Well, the first step is to pick your topic. And this is where your unique knowledge and skills meet the needs of the market. Teachable's 1,000 Ways to Hustle guide has some great advice on this. They suggest researching other courses to see what's already out there. And if you can offer a fresh perspective or a more specialized approach, they also talk about how important it is to niche down, to make your course stand out in a crowded marketplace.
Okay, so let's say I'm really good at website design. Instead of creating a general course on website design for beginners, I should maybe focus on something more specific, like website design for food bloggers. That way I'm attracting a more targeted audience.
Exactly. When you focus on a niche, It not only helps you stand out, but it also lets you create content that meets very specific needs. And that can lead to happier and more successful students.
So I found my niche and I'm super excited about the topic. Now what? How do I actually structure the course content? I love being organized, so this part really interests me.
Well, Teachable says that having a detailed outline is super important. It's like a roadmap for your course. You break the content down into modules and lessons, and each one has clear learning objectives. What's interesting is that they recommend this backward design approach, which might sound a bit weird for you.
Backward design? I've never heard of that.
It basically means starting with the end in mind. What skills or knowledge do you want your students to have when they finish the course? Once you know the outcome you want, you work backwards and create content that leads them to that goal. It's a really effective way to make sure your course is focused and delivers real value.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all the pieces fit together, but what about actually creating the content? I'm guessing most courses use videos, but are there other options?
Video lessons are great, especially for visual learners. But it's good to have a mix of different types of content. You could include text, downloadable resources like worksheets or cheat sheets, quizzes to help people remember what they've learned, even assignments that let them put what they've learned into practice. The goal is to create a dynamic learning experience that keeps people engaged and appeals to different learning styles.
Having a mix of content keeps things interesting, so people don't get bored just watching videos.
That's right. And even within your video lessons, you can keep things interesting by using storytelling, real-world examples, and maybe even some humor if it's appropriate.
Speaking of videos, let's talk about production quality. I'm not a professional filmmaker, but I want my videos to look and sound professional.
You don't need a fancy studio. But having good audio and lighting is really important. Invest in a decent USB microphone, find a quiet place to record, and always test your audio before you start recording. Natural light is great for videos, but if you need to use artificial light, a softbox light or a ring light can make a big difference.
Good audio, good lighting. Got it. What if I need to record my screen to show people how to use software?
The same rules apply. Make sure your audio is clear. And if you're recording system audio, make sure it's balanced and easy to hear. Visually, you can help guide the viewer by highlighting your cursor or adding annotations.
Okay, that makes sense. And we shouldn't forget about written content, right? Even in a video-based course, having clear and concise writing is important.
Oh, absolutely. Your written content should be well organized. Use headings, bullet points, and make sure to proofread everything carefully. And don't forget about those downloadable resources like templates, checklists, and worksheets. Those need to be top-notch too. You want your students to feel like they're getting their money's worth. And high-quality written materials can really add to the value of your course.
What are some examples of good supplementary materials?
Think about things that will help your students actually use what they're learning. Maybe it's a template they can adapt for their own business, a worksheet to help them understand a concept, a checklist to guide them through a process, a cheat sheet with key information, anything that adds value and helps them achieve the learning objectives of the course.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've created all this amazing content. We're happy with the production quality. Now, how do we actually set up our school on Teachable? First, you need to choose the Teachable plan that fits your needs and your budget. They have different options depending on how big you want your business to be. Then you need to give your school a catchy name and think about your branding. Having a memorable logo and a consistent visual style makes your school look more professional.
What about taking payments from students?
Teachable works with Stripe and PayPal, so you can accept payments from students anywhere in the world. Just make sure you understand the transaction fees and how often you'll get paid.
Money stuff is always important. Now, the big question, how much should we charge for our course?
That depends on a few things. You need to do some market research and understand your ideal student. Think about how much value your course provides. See what other courses in your niche are charging. And think about your target audience and how much they're willing to pay. You could offer different pricing tiers, like a basic version and a premium version, with bonus content or coaching.
Okay, so we have our content, our school is set up, and we have a price in mind. But how do we actually convince people to enroll?
That's where having an amazing sales page is so important. It needs a headline that grabs people's attention, a clear explanation of the problem and the solution, a focus on the benefits students will get, and don't forget those testimonials from past students, and a clear call to action.
You keep mentioning testimonials. It seems like social proof is really powerful.
It is. People want to see that others have had success with your course. Testimonials add that human touch, that credibility that can really convince people to buy.
So to recap, we've talked about choosing a topic, outlining our content, creating engaging videos and supplementary materials, setting up our Teachable school, pricing our course, and even crafting a killer sales page. It feels like we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But the journey doesn't end there. The real work begins with marketing and selling your course. And that's exactly what we'll be talking about next. Get ready to learn how to create buzz, attract students, and turn your expertise into a thriving online business.
Welcome back to our deep dive into online courses. I'm still kind of amazed by all the stuff we talked about last time. We've covered so much ground. Now it's time to talk about marketing. The strategies that will actually bring students to your courses.
Yeah, you're right. Making a great course is only the first step. Now we got to get those students excited to learn and ready to transform.
Let's start with building an email list. I know it's like a marketing basic, but with all the social media out there these days, does email even matter anymore?
It totally does. Email marketing is still one of the best ways to connect with your audience and build those relationships. It's like a direct line to the people who are most likely to be interested in your courses.
Okay, so it's more than just sending out promotions. It's about building real relationships with people and giving them something valuable.
Exactly. That's why those lead magnets are so important. Offering something free, like a checklist or a guide or a mini course, in exchange for their email address, that's a great way to get people on your list, people who are actually interested in what you have to offer.
I'm seeing how all these pieces start to fit together. We create valuable content, attract people to our email list, and then we build those relationships through email marketing. But what about social media? We can't ignore how many people are on those platforms.
You're right. Social media is super powerful for getting people to know your brand and engaging with your audience and getting them to check out your courses. The key is to be smart about it. Figure out which platforms your ideal students are using and create content that's specific to those audiences.
So if I'm trying to reach creative entrepreneurs, maybe Instagram or Pinterest would be better than LinkedIn.
Exactly. You got to meet your audience where they are
Yeah.
and speak their language. And remember, social media is about building relationships, not just broadcasting messages. Engage with your followers, respond to comments, ask questions, create a community feeling.
That's so important, that sense of community. Now, I know video is king these days, but what about good old-fashioned writing? Do blogs and websites still matter?
Oh yeah, they definitely still matter. A blog can be a great central hub for all your content. It's a place to share what you know and attract people to your site and show people that you're an expert in your niche. Write blog posts that answer your audience's questions, articles that go deeper into specific topics. You could even write guest posts for other websites to reach more people.
So content marketing is about more than just one thing. It's about blog posts, social media, email marketing, and those lead magnets we talked about.
Right, it's all connected. And the key is to be consistent. Create a content calendar to keep yourself organized and make sure you're regularly putting out great content on different platforms.
Okay, so we're building an audience, we're creating content. Now it's time to launch our course. How do we make sure it's a success? How do we get people excited about it before it even launches?
You got to build anticipation. Start talking about your course weeks or even months in advance. Share little snippets of content. Highlight how the course will transform people's lives. You can even offer a discount to people who sign up early.
I love that early bird discount idea. It rewards the people who are paying attention. What about those launch emails? How do we write those emails in a way that gets people to buy the course?
You need a really strong email sequence. Think of it like a story. You're building excitement, showing the value of your course, and then leading up to that moment when you ask them to buy. Don't be afraid to share your own story, why you created the course, what impact you think it will have on people.
Sharing that personal story makes a big difference. Now, what about webinars? I hear those are a good way to launch a course.
They can be really effective, especially for courses where you can do live demonstrations or Q&A sessions. It's a way to connect with your audience in real time, build trust, show off your expertise, and answer people's questions directly. Plus, having that live element can make people feel like they need to sign up right away.
It's like a virtual classroom. Okay, so we've launched our course, but we can't stop marketing now, right?
Nope, not at all. You got to keep marketing to attract new students and to keep the students you already have engaged.
So what does that look like? Do we need to be creating new content all the time, running ads, going to conferences? It feels like a lot to handle.
It can be. But the great thing about online marketing is that it's flexible. You can create a strategy that works for you and focus on the things that get you the best results.
So maybe instead of trying to do everything, we could focus on email marketing and a couple of social media platforms.
Exactly. It's better to do a few things really well than to try to do everything and not do any of it well. And don't forget about paid advertising. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads let you target very specific people with your course ads, which can be really effective if you do it right.
Paid advertising can be a little scary, to be honest.
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve. But there are a lot of resources to help you get started. Start small, experiment with different platforms and targeting options, and keep track of your results. You'll figure out what works best for your audience and your courses.
So we're creating content, building our email list, engaging on social media, maybe even running ads. It's a lot to keep track of.
It is. And we haven't even talked about some of the more advanced strategies, like affiliate marketing and joint ventures. But before we get into that, let's talk about something that's super important: engaging with your students.
That's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in all the marketing and sales stuff. But in the end, it's all about the students.
Right. Creating a community around your courses, that's key to having happy students. Students who stick around and tell their friends about your courses.
How do we create that community?
Use the tools Teachable gives you, like the comment sections and the discussion forums. You could even create a private Facebook group or an online forum where students can connect with each other, ask questions, share their wins, and support each other.
It's like creating a space where students feel welcome and supported. And what about us, the course creators? How do we make sure we're supporting our students?
Be responsive. Answer their questions quickly and thoroughly. Encourage them. Give them constructive feedback. And don't be afraid to share your own struggles and successes. Being vulnerable like that builds trust and connection.
It shows that we're real people too, not just some faceless instructor.
Exactly. And speaking of learning and growing, it's really important to get feedback from your students.
Yeah, so we can keep improving our courses.
Right. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Through surveys, course evaluations, even just casual conversations. Use that feedback to make your courses even better. Fix any problems. And go above and beyond what your students expect.
It's all about learning and growing. This has been such an amazing deep dive so far. I feel like I'm ready to tackle the marketing side of things, but I also know we've only just scratched the surface.
You're right. There's so much more to explore. In our next segment, we'll talk about some more advanced strategies for scaling your online course business, maximizing your impact, and creating a legacy that goes way beyond the digital classroom.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into online courses. We've talked about everything from coming up with a course idea to launching it and building a community around it. But now it's time to take things to the next level. Let's talk about those advanced strategies for growing your business and making a bigger impact.
It's exciting, right? Like going from the basic course to the master class. And in this master class, we're going to refine our skills and learn some new tricks.
I'm ready to level up. So we've talked about email lists, but it's not just about getting people on the list. How do we keep them engaged and make sure we're sending the right messages to the right people?
That's where segmentation comes in. As your list grows, you want to divide it into groups based on what people are interested in, how much they interact with your emails, or even where they are in their journey with your courses. That way you can tailor your emails to each group's specific needs.
So instead of sending the same email to everyone, we might have a welcome sequence for new subscribers, send special offers to people who are interested in a certain topic, or even create a group for our most loyal students.
Exactly. It's about sending the right content to the right people at the right time. And don't forget about personalization. Use people's names in your emails. Talk about things they're interested in. Even recommend specific courses based on their past behavior. Those little touches make a big difference in building relationships.
Speaking of relationships, let's go back to affiliate marketing. I like the idea of getting other people to promote my courses to their audience, but how do we find and manage affiliates effectively?
It's all about creating a partnership where everyone benefits. Offer a good commission rate so affiliates are motivated to promote your courses. Be clear about the rules of your program. Give them high-quality marketing materials to use. And make it easy for them to see how much they're earning.
So it's more than just giving them a link and hoping for the best. We need to support them and give them the tools they need to be successful.
For sure. And communication is key. Check in with your affiliates regularly. Offer help and guidance. Celebrate their wins. They're representing your brand, so you want to make sure they're happy.
Okay, so it's about building a team of people who love your courses and are excited to tell others about them. Now let's talk about data. I used to be intimidated by data, but I'm starting to see how important it is.
Data is super valuable for making smart decisions about your business. Tracking things like website traffic, how many people buy your course, how often people open your emails, how many people finish your courses, and of course your sales and revenue. All of that tells you what's working and what's not.
So instead of just guessing, we're using real numbers to make decisions.
Exactly. And there are tools that make it easier to understand the data. Teachable has its own analytics that track important course information. And you can use tools like Google Analytics to learn more about your website visitors. There's a bit of a learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, these tools can be super helpful.
It's like having a personal business advisor. Okay, now let's talk about launching new courses. That's exciting, but also a little scary. How do we make sure those launches are successful and that we don't get overwhelmed?
The good news is you've already done the hard work. You have an audience, you have a marketing system, and you've learned a lot from launching your first course. Use that experience. Listen to what your students are saying and see if there are any gaps in the market that you can fill with your expertise.
So we're not starting from zero. We're using what we've learned to make each launch better.
Exactly. And don't forget those pre-launch strategies we talked about before. Building anticipation, offering early bird discounts, sending out those email sequences. It all applies to new courses too. The goal is to create a system that lets you launch new courses regularly without burning out.
Working smarter, not harder. Now, as our business grows, we might need to get some help, so we're not doing everything ourselves. Building a team can be scary. But how do we even start?
Start by thinking about the tasks you can hand off to someone else. Maybe it's video editing, customer support, graphic design, or even managing your social media. Then look for freelancers or virtual assistants who have the skills you need.
There are so many talented people out there, but how do we make sure it's a good working relationship?
Communication is key. Be clear about what you expect. Give detailed instructions. And set realistic deadlines. It's also a good idea to spend some time training them so they understand your vision and how you like things done.
It's like building a team that feels empowered and supported, just like we try to do with our students. Well, we've covered so much in this deep dive. Any final words of wisdom for people who want to create and sell online courses?
Enjoy the journey. It's not a race, it's a marathon. There will be challenges and setbacks, but there will also be amazing moments of success and fulfillment. Keep learning, keep getting better. And remember that community is so important. Surround yourself with people who support you. Learn from your mistakes and celebrate your wins.
That's great advice. And what about the impact our courses can have on people?
Sharing your knowledge can change people's lives. It can help them follow their dreams, learn new things, and achieve their goals. Embrace that power. Share your knowledge freely. And remember that every student you teach can go on to make a positive impact on the world.
What an amazing journey this has been. I feel inspired and ready to go out and create a course that makes a difference. Thank you so much to our expert for sharing all this wisdom.
It was my pleasure. Remember, the world needs what you have to teach. Don't be afraid to share your gifts and make a difference.
And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned a lot and that you're feeling ready to create your own successful online courses. Go out there and make something amazing. Share your knowledge with the world.